Hello everyone, I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary, and today I'm going to be breaking down our next matchup for UFC Noche. In this one, we have our main card opener, Santiago Luna versus Quang Lee. So right off the bat, this is short notice for Quang Lee. For Santiago Luna. Quang Lee was supposed to take on David Martinez, but Martinez filled in for Raul Rosas Jr., who was supposed to take on Rob Font. So Martinez has now been bumped up to the co-main event, leaving Lee without an opponent, and they were able to find Santiago Luna. Now overall, Luna is 6-0 as a professional. Made his debut in April of 2023 when he was 19. He's 21 right now. Meanwhile, Lee is 9-2 as a professional, 3-2 in his last 5 fights, and 1-2 in the UFC. Made his debut on short notice against Chris Gutierrez last August, where he had a pretty good account for himself. He lost the fight, but it's Chris Gutierrez. He's a pretty good neutralizer, a former ranked contender, and overall just a very tough matchup, especially on short notice. But he did win the second round with his grappling, and overall had a pretty good performance. Next fight, he lost to Long Zhao via knockout, which is less impressive. It was pretty good back and forth for a while, but Zhao just had the better offense and eventually was able to find the knockout shot. But then recently got a UFC win this May against Gaston Bolanos via submission. Overall, Luna is pretty good athlete. He's very well rounded. He's got power in both hands. You watch his highlight reel footage. He's got power in both hands. He's dropped opponents, but primarily he's really good with his submissions, especially off the back take. He's got a really good backpack game, very good rear naked chokes. That's how he's won most of his fights via submission. All in all, I'd say in 2 to 3 years, I see Luna fighting on the Contender Series for a contract. I do think he's really good. Still very wet behind the wings, but what do you expect? He's 21, 6-0 as a professional right now. And, right now, sky's the limit for this kid. He's got plenty of time to improve. Meanwhile, Lee, pretty similar boat. He can do about everything. He's got some good striking, got some good highlight reel knockouts in the LFA, and also good submissions as well. All in all, he's a pretty well-rounded finisher. Whether it be on the feet or on the ground, he can find the finish. Now, there are certain fighters, mostly in the striking sense, that can beat him. Chris Gutierrez has his leg kicks, which are devastating at times, and Long Zhao has good power in his boxing, and they were just one step ahead on the feet. While Gaston Bolanos is a pretty good striker in his own right, he really couldn't compete with Lee's ground game, and he was able to pivot that and eventually find the rear naked choke and beat Gaston. There's one aspect of this fight I really don't like for Luna, and it's not just the short notice aspect. It's that he's a careered featherweight, and he's going to be fighting at bantamweight for the first time in his career, and let it be short notice. I don't know how the weight cut's going to affect him, but I would have to figure that this will be the first time since he's cutting to 135 that he's going to be possibly more drained. His gas tank might not be the same. Now, he's never gone the distance. All of his fights have ended by a finish, so I don't know if he's at 3-round cardio. But one would have to assume that he's probably been training very, very hard for this opportunity. He's probably got good cardio. At least so far, he's got 2 rounds cardio. So most of his fights have ended in the first round, but at least he should have like a second round finish. And overall, he's at least a very explosive athlete and is able to quickly transition from grappling to striking, takedowns from overhands, and overall scrambling exchanges. But again, how does he look at bantamweight? Will his gas tank be drained? Will he not be able to take the same shot he could at featherweight? Those are questions that can only really be answered once we see him on the scales, which will be tomorrow. All in all, looking at the odds too, Luna is a minus 115, Lee is a plus 100. At open, they were essentially flipped, but it seems some money's gone on Luna just because I believe a lot of people trust his skill set and think he's a very good prospect. I think he is too, and I definitely see him getting a UFC contract in the future. That being said, taking this fight on short notice is possibility win or lose. They'll give him another chance in the UFC, and I do think he can get some wins in this featherweight division. But right now, with the assignment given to him on short notice in a weight class below that he's never fought in, I don't like those odds for him. I gotta pick Quang Lee in this matchup. I don't know if he can get the finish. Luna's shown to be pretty good at taking some shots, but it's not like he's fought anybody of Lee's level. All of his most recent opponent was 4-6, and some of his other opposition were guys like him, 1-0, 2-0, or debuting. Nobody's fought is to the experience of Lee, nor just overall the abilities Lee had. Now, there is some things to like about Luna in this fight. He might be able to out-scramble Lee in this fight. He's going to be the bigger fighter. And all in all, he's still very young in his career, while Lee is a late bloomer. He started MMA pretty late, as well as, 33 at bantamweight. Now, that's not where the wheels start falling off, but that's something to keep in mind as progressively the body starts slowing down. But I think still, as he is right now, I think Lee is going to get the win here. I'm picking him via decision. I could possibly see a finish for him, but I trust that the durability of youth and the fact that Luna seems in all to be a pretty tough fighter, I think this is going to go the distance. So that's my official prediction is Lee via decision. But with that being said, that has been my prediction for this fight. I wanted to go into detail more, but there's not really much to go into with this matchup. Since you have a guy like 6-0 and then Lee, who hasn't had too much UFC fights to his name, so there's not really much footage to go off of with that. But still, I think it's going to be a fun scrap for sure, and it's UFC Noche. Those types of events often bring the best in fighters and at least bring on a show. But with that being said, that's been my prediction for this matchup. If you liked the video, comment and subscribe. Next up, we'll have Kelvin Gastelum versus Dustin Stoltzfus. But until then, I'm Bo from Brutal Commentary. I thank you all for listening. Take care.